Mother Hannah, the Eye Majesty is hard to describe. Let the enemies receive as their reward punishment and affliction, and let the back of the serpent be accursed. Salutations to the eye belly and heart. Salutations to the eye bowels, and to every member that is in the eye and in the eye mind, whereof the like cannot be found. O Mother Hannah, celestial and telestial ones, make their boast of the eye, and make their prayers unto the eye. Salutations to the eye navel and the eye holar womb. Salutations to the eye thighs and knees. O Mother Hannah, mother of Saint Mariam, the mother of Iasu the Nazarene, let the enemies who fight against I and I path be choked with thorns. Let their deeds, plans, and wicked intentions be destroyed. Salutations to the eye feet and heels. Salutations to the sole of the eye feet, the eye toes which are adorned with beautiful nails. O Mother Hannah, let I and I ask one thing. How long, O I and I Lady, shall I and I live with those who hate justice, equal rights, peace and love? Salutations to the eye statue, which is neither diminished nor shrunk. Salutations to the eye person, and to the going forth of the eye soul, and to the eye body of flesh. O Mother Hannah, mother of Saint Mariam, the mother of Iasu the Nazarene, who is the first fruit of grace, let the tongue of I and our enemies be tied in the time of temptation and trial, with a strong chain and with a rough shackle. Salutations to the eye burial in purple, indestructible. Salutations to the eye grave in the field of Yophonai, which was the inheritance of the eye father. O Mother Hannah, mother of Saint Mariam, the mother of Iasu the Nazarene, the Redeemer, let no one send I and I to death in this world suddenly, and let life embrace I and I, so I and I shall live good and repent and walk the streets of glory. Selah. Give thanks in Menin and Rastafari for life, the I arms that never get tired of holding I and I up. As I and I rise in this new day, guide I and I to the good desires of I and I heart, so I and I can triumph. Greet the day with a smile. Be not idle in bad thoughts and deeds. I and I are original and shall never change for the sake of others. I and I shall never be afraid of the pestilence that crawl by night. I and I know I and our hearts are clean, spirit renewed, and I and I soul refreshed. I and I are healed from past pains, hurts, and insecurities. I and I are safe from sickness and dis-ease. I and I heart and mind are free of sadness. I and I heart and mind are free from worries and anxiety. Peace and sincerity shower I and I. I and I inhale peace and exhale stress. I and I inhale faith and exhale worry. I and I inhale courage and exhale fear. I and I inhale love and exhale hate. I and I rise with gratitude and reverence as a habit. I and I dream big and work hard and surround I and I self with positivity and let miracles become a lifestyle. I and I always remember the things I and I receive without asking. I and I shall not lose patience, for Rastafari and Integwa Menin are forever patient with I and I. I and I dwell in the secret place of Rastafari and Integwa Menin, and under their shadow shall I and I be safe. I and I refuge, I and I fortress, and in the eye do I and I trust. This is the day that Rastafari and Integwa Menin has gifted I and I with. Rejoice and be joyful. El Shaddai and Earth Mother shall protect I and I going out and coming in from this time forth and forevermore. I and I shall always walk good. Sila.
It's time for walking. Start from crawling. Walk good and crazy. Walk good, oh yeah. Walk good, oh yeah. Walk good and run great. Walk good, keep on moving. Walk good, yeah, let you walk. Walk good, watch how you walking. Walk good, walk good and run great. Walk good, walk good, you're walking. Walk good, and the way you're talking. Walk good and run great. Walk good. Come with them theology and analogy, but them a teach you. A bag of false prophet out there. Them and them. Promise a mile from an inch, Mr. Grinch will thief you. But you'll never get away. No way. Judgment will come one day. Kalila said, I tell the people, man, walk good and good. Walk good and great. Walk good and great. Walk, sister and brother. Walk good, mama. Walk good, papa. Walk good and great. Walk good. I miss you, walk good. Run good. Live good like you all should. I miss you, do good. Love good. Think good. Keep the link good. I miss you, walk good. Talk good. Just make sure your heart good. I miss you, laugh good. Cry good. Say bye good. Live good. Give good. Be good. You should be good. Be good.
Give thanks for the I ears family. Hope the I are. Mother Hannah's salutations with Weep and Mourn song, Israel Vibration from their album Same Song. New Day Psalms, Sir Dees and I with Solid Foundation song, Cedric Myton from the album Heart of the Congos. Strong greetings belated going out to Cedric Myton. parables from Sadids and I, with Psalms 91 and Psalms 121, with What Good Jalil. Now, sealing up Psalms and Song is Jalil, one right, one wrong, going out especially for the Earth-strong Princess Hannah, and Sister Gad, and to all Gadites, I refer Earth-strong love. Jalil, one right, one wrong. Just before Jalil family, all the salutations of Mother Hannah are taken from the book The Legends of Lady Mariam, the Perpetual Virgin, and her mother Hannah, looted from Ethiopia by General Napier in 1868. Salutations to the I, Mother Hannah, and I love the I.
IYATA, your daughter from Ethiopian border, I come.
Yeah. People see Jaja see one right, yeah. People see darkness. Jaja see sunlight. Them just so. And when you buck your toe, them must say you bugger yo. Long time you consistent, them never feature you. But as soon as you fall, I saw them picture you. I'd rather people write me off than Jaja fight me off. Or people fight me off than Jaja write me off. I'd rather people write me off than Jaja fight me off. So go and fight me, and Jaja like me. People see and Jaja see one right. People see love. Bite, cause if you try to live with people, you slip and slide. I'd rather people write me off than Jaja fight me off. Or people fight me off than Jaja write me off. I'd rather the people them write me off than Jaja fight me off. So go and fight me, and Jaja like me, yeah. People see and Jaja see right, yeah. People see darkness, but Jaja and Jaja see sunlight. You got a plank in your eye, so while you're inspecting me, and you're almost blind, you try to see the speck in me. It's like you studied the law thing. You keep on judging me, while Jesus set me free. People see Jaja see one right. People see darkness, and Jaja see sunlight. People see Jaja see
surely a very beautiful day for I and I. Fulfillment of the prophecy when Ayasu says he will come again and sit upon the throne of his son Dawit as King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah. And in this hour, I and I celebrate the lineage of his and her imperial majesty with Mother Hannah, whose day is on the 7th of November. Here is the narrative in 1968 can be found in the British Library, Windsor Castle, Museum of Mankind, India. In Israel. When Achim heard these words, he was sad with a great sadness, and he began to think and said, all the children of Israel have their children, and I have none. He thought about all the good men of the world and of old, like Father Abraham, whom Rastafari had given a son in his old age and named him Isaac. Achim was so sad and felt so hurt. And because of this sorrow of what Reuben had said to him, he withdrew himself and went into the desert and fasted 40 days and nights. He said, no food shall enter my belly until Rastafari grant I petition and judge I prayer. Hannah wept and lamented. She made earnest requests and supplications to Rastafari for her to conceive and give birth to a son. she went to pray. And as Hannah walked to the sanctuary, she saw birds in the trees with their young ones. And she said, "Let the love of the Most High be upon them and multiply them exceedingly. Hear I prayer, and grant I petition. Grant I as the I granted Sarah, and gave her a son in her old age." Then she lifted up her eyes to the heavens and began to weep with expressed sorrow, saying, "Woe it is I! Unto whom shall I liken myself? To the beast and to the birds? But how can I? For they have their young ones. Woe it is I! Unto whom shall I liken myself? Must I liken myself to the earth? But she has fruits." Whilst Hannah was weeping, the angel of Rastafari appeared in front of her and said, "Behold, Rastafari has heard the I prayer and accepted the I petition and has given the I a child." The angel reasoned with Hannah, and Hannah rejoiced in her heart. Hannah said, "O Rastafari, Abba, I Father, if it be that the I has given I a son, I shall give him to the I service in the I sanctuary all the days of his life." And the angel said, "Behold, the I husband shall return from the desert. Eat, drink, and be joyful." The angel went to visit Iakim and told him that Rastafari has heard his prayer and accepted his petition, and Hannah shall conceive. When Iakim heard these words, he rejoiced with a great joy and gave thanks unto Rastafari, Abba, his father. Hannah stood before the door of their house, and when she saw her husband come in, she went to him, and they embraced. And she said, "Does the I know that Rastafari has had mercy upon I, and shown I compassion, and gifted I with the gift of life? For I who was barren shall no longer be barren, and I who had no child shall now be with child." Iakim and Hannah entered their home, and they closed their door for the day. Iakim woke up the next day, and he washed himself and went to the sanctuary, where a crown rested on the altar. For he knew if Rastafari had accepted his petition and his prayer, his face would appear in the crown. And when Iakim prayed, he saw the vision of Rastafari's face in the crown. He was overjoyed, for his prayers had been answered. Abba, Father, has given him and Hannah a child. He returned home with joy and gladness in his heart. Iakim said to Hannah, "I saw the heavens opened, and a white dove came and hovered over my head." Hannah said to him, "I had a dream this day, and I saw a dove sitting upon my head, and it entered my belly." 30 days after they had told each other these things, on the 7th day of Nahazi, on the 7th day of the month of Nahazi, Hannah conceived Selah. Give thanks for the Ayers family, and sealing up Empress Hannah and Father Iakim's narrative is Chosen Few, Ras Ivy and the Rastafari family, from the album Ark of the Covenant, a Sir Zimmer production, and saluting Seymour McLean over yonder, who would have celebrated his Earthstrong on the 5th of November. And I salute the I Seymour McLean and give thanks to the I for all the I hard work and for making sure that I have this book about the Nazarene, so I can learn about I lineage. Enough love, my brother. I hope Grandmother Hannah and Grandfather Iakim and Saint Mariam embrace the I over yonder. I salute the I from Mother Earth. Selah, Ras Ivy and the Rastafari family, Chosen Few, from the album Ark of the Covenant, a Sir Zimmer production. One love, family.
I and I were of the world.
Jah had chosen I and I out of the world. Therefore the world hateth I and I. But I and I are not mindful, for I and I know that right causes will ultimately prevail. And I and I are confident that I and I are the chosen few. Yes, the chosen few. I and I are the chosen few. Jah chosen few.
Now, family, it's time for coronation celebration, which I and I are celebrating today. I and I are fortunate enough to have this day on the air to celebrate coronation. The coronation of His and Her Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie I and Integwe Menen. The Ethiopians have been arriving in Addis Ababa for 2 weeks before the great coronation, which fulfilled the prophecy, I will come again and sit upon the throne of my son Dawit David, in whom I'm well pleased. The Ethiopians came from all parts of Ethiopia. Some walked for 2 weeks to see their emperor and their empress crowned. Ethiopia shines in her colours of red, gold, and green as the flags line the streets and blow in the wind from the high buildings. In their traditional gowns, Ethiopians gather for the grand coronation. The invited foreign envoys begin to arrive around the 18th of October from such places as England, Italy, Belgium, Sweden, the Netherlands, Japan, Egypt, France, USA, Germany, Greece, Turkey, and Poland. 72 nations altogether. Following the ancient tradition, 7 nights before the coronation, 49 bishops and priests in groups of 7 in the 7 corners of St. Gorge's Cathedral chant itinerally 9 psalms of David Dawit for 7 days and 7 nights. On November the 1st, the eve of the coronation, the emperor inaugurates a statue of the great Menelik II. The honour of unveiling goes to Henry, Duke of Gloucester, son and envoy of King Albert of England, who returned the golden sceptre which was looted from Ethiopia in 1868. Henry bowed down to His Majesty, saying, Master, Master, my father has sent me. Forgive him, Master, as he handed the golden sceptre to His Imperial Majesty. The same evening, the imperial vestment and ornaments were taken in a great parade to the Imperial Church of St. Gorge's and consigned to the archbishops, who prayed over them all night. The Cathedral of St. Gorge's is a magnificent structure, built during the reign of Emperor Menelik II, and was the scene of the crowning of Empress Zardatu in 1916. His and Her Imperial Majesty and family enter the church at midnight for midnight prayer. More than 700 guests and officials are in attendance on November the 2nd, 1930, to witness this ancient coronation ceremony. The lion-made chieftains are interspersed amongst the foreign guests and dignitaries according to their rank and stations. Hundreds of priests join the original group, resplendent in their colourful ceremonial robes, bearing ankhs and censers of incense before the imperial ceremony begins. The lions are also present. Empress Menen and her ladies of honour enter the sanctuary from the right side, and she takes her throne seat to the right of His Imperial Majesty for her coronation. Abonapalas places the crown and ring upon Her Majesty with a glorious ceremony on the same day as the Emperor. This not only breaks with tradition, but sets a historical precedence, as the earlier practice was for Her Majesty to be crowned on the 3rd day after the coronation of the Emperor in the palace and not in the church. But His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I changed this law and was crowned with his Empress on the same day, a balance of man and woman working together, father, mother, morality. His Imperial Majesty is approached by the Archbishop, His Holiness Abonapalas, with a Bible bond in gold, and he is asked to pledge the following four-part oath: to strengthen and defend the Orthodox faith, and to keep without disturbance the laws and ordinances which the Orthodox Church has laid down, to act with consideration for the interest of the people according to the law, as well as with kindness and patience, to safeguard the entire Ethiopian realm and her people in accordance with the established law and the ordinance of the council, to assist with the establishment of schools in Ethiopia where secular and spiritual education would be developed and the Gospels would be preached. The emperor then affirms verbally and in writing that he, the emperor, is willing to fulfill his duties as ruler. Next, the Abana recites the prayer of the covenant, after which the choir, with the drum and the harp accompaniment, chant Psalms 48. During this interval, abbots from various monasteries bring the imperial articles one by one and hand them to the 7 bishops who are assigned by the archbishop to the coronation service. And the bishops in turn pass the articles to the abboner to pray over them. The objects are returned to the respective bishops, whom then present them to his and her imperial majesties. They recite the appropriate lines with each of the 7 ornaments. His imperial majesty is anointed on the head, brow, the shoulders with 7 different scented ornaments of ancient prescriptions. He is first vested with a gold sword along with his exhortation, "May you be enabled with this sword to punish the wicked and protect the righteous." This is followed with the bestowal of the imperial sceptre of ivory and gold with the golden orb, the globe, a diamond-encrusted ring, 2 traditional lances, spears, figurine in gold with the imperial vestments, and finally, anointing his head with oil, the abboner places upon him the triple crown, and Rastafari and Integuamenen are crowned. The archbishop concludes the imperial anointing with the words, "That Amlak may make this crown a crown of sanctity and of glory, that by the grace and the reverence which we have given to Haile Selassie first, have an unshaken faith and a pure heart, in order that he may inherit the crown eternally. So be it."
inspiration, through the divine inspiration of the Most High. Hail, hail,
Prince Asfawasan removes his coronet and on bended knees pledges his allegiance, service and support. The final part of the ceremony is a tour of the cathedral by His and Her Imperial Majesty, escorted by the bishops and the priests, princes, dignitaries, assistants and others, carrying palm branches and chanting, "Blessed be the King of Israel." The procession continues onto the Addis Ababa streets, where Ethiopians and foreign well-wishers happily cheer with joy for the imperial family. The event draws to a close with His and Her Imperial Majesty visiting other churches in the city to give thanks and praise. Coronation Day, the 2nd of November, 1930, His and Her Imperial Majesty crowned on the same day, a balance of man and woman. Selah.
Fire bingy against the walls of Babylon. Fire burn all black and white down presses. Fire burn all iniquity workers. Fire burn red hot. Fire bingy.
What a wonderful I was. Glory to Jah name. Jaja yada yota bawande into a free Iration yade if alright Iration yade if alright. What a wonderful I was. Glory to Jah name. For Jaja yada yota bawande into our free Iration yade if alright. Everybody should know. Everyone have to know. Everybody should know. Everyone have to know. Everybody should know. Everyone have to know. Rastafari. But it come like you no know. It come like you no know. Seems like you no know. Seems like you no know. Coming like you no know. Coming like you no know. Rastafari. Rastafari is the kings of kings and lords of lords, conquering Lion of Judah. Rastafari is island of himself and the light of this world. Everybody should have known. But what? Iration yadi, if alright. What a wonderful I was. Glory to Jah name. For Jaja yada yota power bondage into our free Iration yadi, if alright. It's a long time the Almighty I call you. So long. So long, so long, so long, so long the Almighty I call you. So long, so la la la, because the enemy is around you, trying to devour you.
So long, Rastafari, I call you. So long, but what? Irish and Yardin, yeah, far right. What a wonderful I was. Glory to Jah name. 'Cause Jah Yada Yota Power bondage into our free heart. Irish and Yardin, yeah, far right. 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 Irish and Yardin, yeah, far right.
Creation Trodden, Ghetto Priest, from his album Creation Trodden. National Honours of Empress Menen. Collar and Chain of Order of Solomon, 30th of October 1930. Cordon of the Order of Queen of Sheba, 1928. Imperial Coronation Medal, 1930. Refugee Medal, 1944. Jubilee Medal, 1955. Foreign Honours Medal. Member of the Royal Order of the Seraphim, Kingdom of Sweden, 19th of December, 1959. Empress Menen, I and I salute the eye.
Empress Menen, the Queen of all Kings.
Nishwadada sealing up Empress Menen with the song Empress Menen. His Imperial Majesty was anointed with 7 oils and received 7 items on his coronation, which represented 7 chakras. Jeweled sword, base chakra. Orb, navel chakra. Robe, solar plexus chakra. Imperial gold scepter, he shall rule with a rod of iron, Revelation 19 verse 15. 2 lances, throat chakra, double-edged sword, and out of his mouth go a sharp sword, so he shall smite the wicked nations. Diamond ring, 3rd eye chakra, the triple crown, head chakra. Revelation 19 verse 16. And on his vesture and on his thigh a name was written, King of Kings and Law of Laws. Revelation 5 verse 5. Weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Yehuda, Judah, the root of David, has prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals, the 7 chakras. Selah.
And they murmur unto themselves, saying, There is none worthy to take the book of 7 seals and to open. And one of the elders said, Rastaman, weep not. Bingy man, weep not. Congo man, weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a Lamb with the spirit of Jehovah. And as he took the book from the hand of he that sat on the throne, they all fell down before him, singing a new song, singing, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the 7 seals, and hast made us unto our God and King, oh His Majesty. Rastaman, weep not. Bingy man, weep not. Congo man, weep not. We're going to Holy Mount Zion. Your time has come. Rastaman, weep not. Bingy man, weep not. Congo man, weep not. Your time has come. Hey. Yes, they all murmured unto themselves, saying, There is none worthy to take the book of 7 seals and to open. And one of the elders said, Rastaman, weep not. Bingy man, weep not. Congo man, weep not. That time has come. Rastaman, weep not. Coptic man, Bingy man, weep
Sending up the coronation revelation of His Imperial Majesty. Here is E.T. Webster with Weep Not from his album Inner Path, and sending out love to all Rastafari family celebrating coronation today. Ireful greetings, Ras Dragon, Principal Danite, Bigger Swan, Uncle Vincent, Aunt and Pops, Donald, Mikey, remembering Leroy Fish, Johnny, Auntie Jean, Black, Spuddy, Papine, Adrian, Queen Alpha May, Elijah, Uriah, Jesse and family, Sister Mavis and family, Sister Sweet Cherry Pie, Piper and family, DJ Member, Jackie Oates, Nins, Hannah, Beth, Rankin Deagle, Sister B and family, Little Dread Ballet, Ras Torles, I Trust I, Ras Howell, Mikey General, Lady Itel, Lady Asher, Sister Gad, Yadena, Tana and Negus, Sister Patsy, Sister Darity, Sister Zebby, Sister Levi, Stephen, Kevin, Ireful Afternoon, Upsetter, How is the Eye, Sister Annie, Simeon Twins, Jawara, Born Free, Princess Topaz, Sister Marcia, Sister Gad, Ras Asher, Sister Carleen, Dennis the Great Musician and family, Josh Emmanuel, Ira Joy, Scotty, Nolan family, Byron, Sister Joanne and family, Sister Amber, Misha and family, Sister Nzinga, Mas Baptist, Lloydie, Sister Pam, Prince Akiki, Elliot, Ireful Afternoon, Itel Vital, Pepper Seed, Rascliffy, Kenneth, Michael Brown, Sister Linda, Sister Natalie, Sister Joy, Sister Zalima, Sister Lazalu, Sister Marlene, Sister Rose, Sister Jennifer and Robert, Sister Yamani and her Kingman, Sister Debbie Judah and her Kingman, Sister Dawn and Kifa, Tuffy Irie, Ireful Afternoon, Sister Darity, Sister Norma, Sister Faye, Sister Sonia, Mama Alice, Ireful Afternoon, Mama Cynthia, Lady Bubbles, Sister Half Pint, How is the Eye, Ras Blakey, Sister Sharifa, Patrick, Intebi family, Father Ted, Ireful greetings, Father Fats, Culture, Nagomi King, Kim, Dougie and Hornsey, Annette, good afternoon, Sister Jennifer, Selector G, How is the Eye, Ras Ruben here, PRB, Ras Ruben in Bermuda, Sister Amber Leah, Jamaics, Sir Dees, Mango Rambo, Ronnie Doc, Mr. and Mrs. Boogaloo, Remembering Bully, Annette, Sister Una, Tottenham Town Bakery, Juicy Roots, Ras Levi, Bigger Swan, all family over in the N8 in the Gardens, Isaac Natural and family, and all I business places, more love and more strength. Have a wonderful coronation day. Saluting the eye. Sending out love to Mikey and Sister Georgie over there in South Tottenham and family, Top Secret and family, Princess Carlina, how's the eye, brave soul, enough respect and love to the eye. Sister D, the Danite, South Tottenham, Donovan, Ireful Afternoon, SB, Mikey Dread, Ireful greetings, happy Coronation Day. Adrian, Blacks, Ireful Coronation Day.
In today's video, we're shining the light on one of the oldest countries on the African continent, Ethiopia. The name Ethiopia, formerly known as Abyssinia, comes from two Greek words, Aistos and Ops, meaning burnt faces. Ethiopia's unique mix of fascinating history, deep-rooted identity, incredible natural wonders and rare wildlife makes it one of the most intriguing places on earth. Officially referred to as the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Ethiopia is located in the northeastern part of Africa, known as the Horn of Africa. It shares borders with Eritrea to the north, Djibouti to the northeast, the de facto state of Somaliland and Somalia to the east, Kenya to the south, South Sudan to the west and Sudan to the northwest. With over 102 million inhabitants, Ethiopia is the most populated landlocked country in the world and the second most populated nation on the African continent, with a total area of 1,100,000 square kilometers. Its capital and largest city is Addis Ababa. The country is home to landscapes as diverse as deserts, volcanoes and highlands, architecture ranging from rock-cut churches to medieval-style castles, and wildlife that include rare species such as the Gelada baboon, the Walia ibex, and the Ethiopian wolf. Let's take a look at the beautiful country with the 10 things you probably didn't know about Ethiopia. Number 1. Ethiopia is one of the 2 African countries that was never colonized. During the scramble and colonization of Africa, Ethiopia was never colonized despite Italy's occupation from 1936 to 1941 because that did not result to a lasting colonial administration. In the 1880s, Italy failed to take Abyssinia as Ethiopia was then known as a colony. On the 3rd of October 1935, Mussolini ordered a new invasion. And on the 1st of June 1936, the country was merged with Eritrea and Italian Somalia to form Africa Oriental Italiana. Emperor Haile Selassie made an impassioned appeal for assistance in removing the Italians and re-establishing independence to the League of Nations on the 30th of June 1936. But many League of Nations, including Britain and France, recognized Italian colonization. It was not until the 5th of May 1941, when Emperor Haile Selassie was restored to the Ethiopian throne, that independence was regained. Liberia is said to have never been colonized because it was founded by America and remained an American colony till independence. Number 2. The first African to drive a car came from Ethiopia. Ethiopian Emperor Menelik II was the first native African to drive a car in 1907. Emperor Menelik II was Emperor of Ethiopia from 1889 to 1913. He spoke French, English and Italian fluently and was known for establishing the modern state of Ethiopia and introducing modern technology. Two Englishmen, Bede J.F. Bentley and his mechanic, Reginald G. Wells, drove the car from Djibouti to Ethiopia to present it to the emperor. Bede J.F. Bentley is the son of John Francis Bentley, who designed Westminster Cathedral in London. Emperor Menelik II was presented the car in 1907 and became the first African to drive a car in Africa. Although we're unable to find out why he was given a car, we simply just figured maybe it was because he was an awesome leader. Number 3. Ethiopia was the oldest independent sovereign country in Africa. Many historians agree that Ethiopia is one of the oldest countries in the world. While we know that human life has existed in Ethiopia for millions of years, thanks to skeletal fragments uncovered, it's generally agreed that Ethiopia developed as a country in 980 BCE. This was when one of the first kingdoms, known as DMT, rose to power. Ethiopia is one of the few African countries that never fell into the hands of colonizers, with the exception of when it was occupied for a few years under Italian dictator Mussolini in the 1930s. Number 4. Coffee was discovered in Ethiopia. Ethiopia is the motherland of coffee arabica. It is endowed with a rich variety of coffee and its diverse origins. Ethiopian coffee is rich with original flavor and aroma because of its geographical, genotypic and cultural variety within the country. About 1,000 years ago, coffee was gathered in Ethiopia's southwestern highlands. It was discovered in Kaffa area where it first blossomed and it was given the name coffee. It's believed that coffee cultivation and drinking began as early as in the 9th century in Ethiopia. It was cultivated in Yemen around AD 575. It's said to have traveled from Ethiopia to Yemen about 600 years ago, and from Arabia it began its journey around the world. Amongst the many legends, Kaldi, an Abyssinian goatherd who lived around AD 850, found the origin of coffee. Number 5. 70% of all the mountains in Africa are found in Ethiopia. While the highest mountain in Africa may not be located in Ethiopia, Ethiopia actually has the highest number of mountains amongst all African countries. Ethiopian mountains are known for their biodiversity. They also boast of spectacular beauty. The Simien Mountains National Park, home to Mount Ras Dashen, Mount Ankwa, and Mount Bwahi is a World Heritage Site. Bell Mountains National Park, which hosts Mount Tulu Dimtu, is waiting to be declared a World Heritage Site. Tourists flock the Ethiopian mountains to enjoy the beautiful landscapes and rare animal species. There are so many mountains in Ethiopia, but the highest mountain in the country is Ras Dashen and is estimated to be about 4,550 meters, followed by Mount Ankwa with 4,462. Number 6. Ethiopian calendar has 13 months. Calendars and dates are very commonly used merely to keep track of days or to find out which day of the week a particular day falls on. With the exception of Ethiopia, the world has adopted the Gregorian calendar, a calendar constituting of 365 days in a year and 366 days in a leap year. On the other hand, Ethiopia has accepted the Coptic calendar, which is quite different from the Gregorian calendar. The Coptic calendar has 13 months, of which 12 months comprise of 30 days each, and the 13th month at the end of the year, called the intercalary month, usually has 5 days and 6 days in a leap year. The Gregorian and Coptic calendar are not the only calendars. There are 5 other types of calendars. These include the Chinese calendar, the Hebrew calendar, Balinese Paukon, the Islamic calendar, and the Persian calendar. Coming back to the point, because of the adaptation of the Coptic calendar, the country of Ethiopia celebrates New Year on September 11th. This is because the Ethiopian calendar follows the Coptic calendar, which was fixed to the Julian calendar in 25 BC by Emperor Augustus of Rome with a start date of the 29th of August, thus establishing the New Year on the 11th of September. Number 7. Ethiopia is home to the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant is a gold-covered wooden chest with lid cover. The book of Exodus describes it as containing the 2 stone tablets of the 10 Commandments, Aaron's staff that budded, and a jar of manna. Ethiopians claim that the Ark is found in the St. Mary of Zion Church in Aksum. However, this is a heavily disputed fact about Ethiopia, but a lot of historical events lead to its truth. Only one man, the guardian, is actually allowed to see the Ark. When he dies, another guardian is chosen to take care of the tabard, what Ethiopians call the Ark. Number 8. First African to win a gold medal at the Olympics. The Olympics are leading international sporting events featuring summer and winter sport competitions in which thousands of athletes from around the world participate in a variety of competitions. Although the ancient games were staged in Olympia, Greece, from 776 BC through 393 AD, it took 1,503 years for the Olympics to return. The first modern Olympics were held in Athens, Greece, in 1896. The man responsible for its rebirth was a Frenchman named Baron Pierre de Coubertin, who presented the idea in 1894. Ethiopian distance runner Abebe Bikila was the first native-born African to win a gold medal at the Olympics. Abebe Bikila won the gold in the Olympic marathon in the 1960, and he ran the race barefooted. Number 9. Ethiopia is the only country in Africa that has its own alphabet. I bet this is one fact about Ethiopia that you never knew. No other African country has its own indigenous alphabet that it continues to use. Ethiopia, on the other hand, derives its own alphabet from an ancient form called Ge'ez. Ge'ez is a Semitic language and the written language of the ancient Aksumite Sabian Empire. The alphabet uses an abugida, which consists of 238 symbols and 34 letter variants. Each letter or fiddle correlates with a syllable of the word. So if you wanted to say water in Amharic, you would say weha. 2 Amharic letters make up one word, one for each syllable. What makes this so great is that once you have learned the Amharic letters, you can start reading and learning the language. Number 10. It was the first African nation in the League of Nations and founding member of the Organization of African Unity. Another little known fact about Ethiopia is that it was the first African nation admitted into the League of Nations and a founding member of the Organization of African Unity. Emperor Haile Selassie endeavored to position Ethiopia in the forefront of global relations involving the African continent. This was very significant because most countries viewed African countries as inferior, and a majority of them did not have independent political or economic representation. As a staunch Pan-Africanist, he strived to unite African countries for the betterment of the African continent. He tirelessly fought for the political decolonization of Africa and won the fight in his lifetime. Here is an extra bonus fact for you. Number 11. 152 animals and plants are found only in Ethiopia. Ethiopia has a lot of animals you would normally associate with in East Africa, likely the elephant, giraffe, cheetah, hippo, and zebras. However, one of the amazing facts about Ethiopia is that there are over 152 animals and plants that are only found in Ethiopia. These animals include the Ethiopian wolf, the Gelada baboon, and the black-maned lion. In fact, the black lion is the national animal of Ethiopia and was the old flag of Ethiopia. Dear explorers, we hope you learned a thing or two about Ethiopia from this video.
am Ethiopian, sending out greetings to Ras Peter, Ras Tony, and Ras Philip. One love.
Melanin is a molecule. And the concept of melanin is, it is black in its nature. And we find it in the cosmos, we find it in the heavens, we find it in water, we find it in land, we find it in everything that exists.
Scholars and scientists have been having conferences about melanin, to my awareness, at least since the 1920s. These scientists said that the pineal gland, they refer to the pineal gland as a vestigial organ, that is a calcified gland within the body that serves no purpose, as if the creator would create something that you didn't need. And it was only after the Vietnam War, in the late 60s and early 70s, they began to rewrite their interpretation of the pineal gland. The reason for that was that a large number of African Americans fought and died during the Vietnam War. And whenever a soldier dies, there's an autopsy that's performed before their body is sent back to Dover Air Force Base. And what they discovered, what these physicians discovered, is that when they performed the autopsies, the 75 to 80% the African American soldiers had a large functioning pineal gland. The pineal gland is normally about the size of your thumb. So it was not a vestigial organ in 70 to 80% of African Americans, but it is a calcified organ in 75 to 80% of people with European ancestry. So they began to reevaluate the pineal gland.
So this is a complex molecule. It's found in the brain. It's found in your adrenal glands. It's a powerful free radical scavenger. In other words, it helps the body prevent this oxidation, so it's an antioxidant. Melanin may play a much bigger role than just absorbing all this radiation, and when you get it into your body, it actually has a major effect on your immune system. It protects genes and it actually repairs broken DNA. Isn't that wonderful? Something breaks down because you're exposed to chemicals or radiation. Think of the people of Japan right now in 2011 who are suffering from huge amounts of radiation. What could we do to help them prevent cancer developing? Well, you need a DNA repairer, and that's what melanin does. It exists in many other tissues, as I mentioned. It's actually a very important molecule in any woman who's having a baby, because the fetus has all this melanin in it.
The sperm of the male and the egg of the woman, they're both layered with melanin, so that when the sperm penetrates the egg, there is a melanin explosion. And that melanin helps to formulate the fetus within that egg. And that fetus is literally coated with the melanin substance. And that melanin substance then goes on to form the brain and the central nervous system. So every human being begins with a melanin explosion.
In steering things in the body, in the whole regulatory system, melanin's role in embryological organization, that's in the baby's organization, and tissue repair and tissue regeneration, may be connected to the major role that it plays to balance the body. That's called homeostasis. Here's a picture of a baby at 35 days of pregnancy, and this is the eye of an embryo. Notice that the eye is pure melanin. That's an amazing picture, isn't it? To see all this melanin is inside, and when the embryo first forms, there is what's called the dark streak. It's all melanin.
It is the dynamic, the primary dynamic in every part of the cell. It's a primary dynamic in the core of the human being as well as to the surface of the human being. Its intelligence is responsible for the forming of the nervous system. Every part of the nervous system has these little black dots all through it, which essentially carry information.
The body is actually a communication system where everything is connected to everything else, and it works through light. It works through light. It's called biophotons. And in this communication system, cells have connections to other cells called integrins, and electrons and light flows between cells. So it's like a supercomputer. In fact, there's somebody even studying whether energy is directly absorbed from the melanin in your skin and transformed into energy in your body. And it's thought to be, by some people, a master molecule that actually steers how the body communicates.
Clearly, the more melanin you have, the more beneficial it is to your being and to your body. How could anyone ever be ashamed of the melanin that possesses so much magic?
Pentitush with Blackface, taken from his album The Genesis.
Welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Prophetic Update. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you are moving into living life truly on your own terms. For the and this is a real special message to the chosen ones. Remember, I always say the chosen ones that chose themselves, because if you have the power to say that you're a chosen one, to know that deep in your heart, you become a creator on this world, a true man and woman of power. And that's why your spiritual life, beloveds, has to be your priority, because we are in a very special season where we're not going to be moving the way we used to move. And we are currently, and I've been feeling this heavily on my spirit, we are currently in the season of the underdog. Anyone who was, if you were last in your family, you're the one that everyone's going to come to look, come to ask for information. Where can they go research the stuff that they used to call you conspiracy theorists about? If you were the one that everyone always looked down on in your community, you are about to rise up to a new level. If you chose a different path and got severely judged and mocked for it, many are about to eat their words and their sentiments. And so in this season of the underdog, if you were the last nation, you will now be the first nation, because the matrix has collapsed. And what had happened is the matrix had flipped the script. So everything was back to front and upside down. They literally whitewashed history, told all these lies, and then took our magic from Africa, from the black nation, and then use that same magic to control and dominate the world, not only our world, but their people and their world as well. Sorry, I keep touching these bamboos. And so now, because the matrix has fallen, everything has come right side up. But the thing is, Babylon invested so heavily in mind control, so heavily in understanding how they can psychologically manipulate you and keep you on a lower vibration, or on a lower perspective of life, a perspective of fear and shame and doubt and worry and anxiety and stress, and low grade emotions like lust and gluttony, just those things where you be creating physical and psychological and emotional addictions in us. So when I say it's the season of the underdog, if the underdog, because the underdog has been beaten down, we're almost at our last, but so you've dealt with it, you've had it, so you now have to have the courage to believe that it is your season. Have the stand firm, beloveds, in the knowledge of who you are, in the knowledge that if you were last, now you are first. That is such a game changer. Everything has changed forever. We're not going back to the way that things were. And so in this season of the underdog, you now have to move in different ways. It's not been recorded. History hasn't documented or has erased it. Let me say that, because I keep saying the ancient ones are back. The ones who know how to play this matrix properly are now here, alive and kicking, and they're about to take position. And so as an underdog, things will happen. Finances will come to you, ideas will come to you. You'll be led by the Spirit to move. You'll be led by the Spirit to relocate. You'll be led by the Spirit to maybe leave your job and take another job. So we have to operate in that spiritual discernment. But if you've been an underdog, that's how you've been operating all your life, because most of the time, all you had was you. All you had was you. And so you had to be your greatest cheerleader. You had to big yourself up. But now our spiritual team, which has always been there, our guardian angels, etc., who have always been there, they are more real now than this fake matrix we're in. So you are no longer alone. You've never been alone. But now you're going to know that you've never been alone, for real, for real. And in this season of the underdog, you can take your position as the rightful ruler. And we're going to see it happen with Africa as well. So much is happening on the continent where we're seeing the script is being flipped, especially in West Africa. The Africa Revolution is underway in earnest, where we're seeing, we saw the revolution in Mali, which has the coup, which has now turned into like just, it's gotten so much support from the civilians. There's a lot of international fear that there'll be a copy paste effect. because it's a season of the underdog. And no matter how much the oppressor or whoever it is, the enemy of your soul, whoever has tried to sit on you and dominate you and control you, no matter how long they've done that, the chains are off. But the reason I'm bringing this message is because you have to believe that the chains are off. Otherwise, they will still control you. There's a story someone had shared with me last year, which said in a particular southern state, the slaves didn't know they were free. And so they ended up working for a further 20 years or something crazy like that. Please leave if you know the story I'm talking about, please leave a link or, just give us a few more details in the comments. I'll love you for it. But they had no idea that they were free. And so they remained, even they were free, but they remained because they were still enslaved here. They still continued to be slaves until they were told, until 20 years later. And that's the same thing with all the underdogs, the chosen ones, the ones who know the supermans and superwomans of this world, the ones who are here, but they know they are not of this place. It is now our time to understand that the chains are off, to get ourselves mentally and psychologically right, to heal those emotions. That's the priority, because we are going to be put on our rightful thrones sooner than we think. And we don't want the negativity and the brokenness of the past and how much we've suffered and everything to come and block us.
Yeah. The time has come when we can sail into the ocean without fear and no regrets. Yeah. The time has come when we can hold hands together and march to the promised land. Yeah. With all the love that lies inside our hearts, we stand tall upright. With burning fire in our minds, we try to find the answer. With all the love that we possess inside, we stand for what's right. We shall not bow, we shall not cease the fight for a brighter tomorrow. The time has come when we can end what we started and forgive but not forget. Yeah. The time has come when we can open a new chapter in a book that no one's ever read. Yeah. With all the love that lies inside our hearts, we stand tall upright. With burning fire in our minds, we try to find the answer. With all the love that we possess inside, we stand for what's right. We shall not bow, we shall not cease the fight for a brighter tomorrow. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. The time is now. The time is now. With all the love that lies inside our hearts, we stand tall upright. With burning fire in our minds, we try to find the answer. With all the love that we possess inside, we stand for what's right. We shall not bow, we shall not see the fight. Yeah. With all the love that lies inside our hearts, we stand tall upright.
time has come, Ghetto Priest from his album Herb. Ireful greetings, DJ Cowboy. Ireful greetings, Twinkle Stars, and welcome to the Twinkle Star Iowa in a new strong with new knowledge. Never stop learning because life never stops teaching. Every day is a new day, never experienced before. Lots to learn. Every teacher and every professor were once students. So let's rock knowledge. Welcome forward. A joy to be in the eye presence today. A pre-recorded Twinkle Star Iowa, but I and I gonna rock it set speed. One love, Twinkle Stars. Welcome forward.
Twinkle Stars Iowa. Every Monday between 4 and 5 by SLR. SISTA IYATA style.
Hey, Black Child by County Color. Hey, Black Child, do you know who you are? Who you really are? Do you know you can be what you want to be if you try to be what you can be? Hey, Black Child, do you know where you're going? Where you're really going? Do you know you can learn what you want to learn if you try to learn what you can learn? Hey, Black Child, do you know you are strong? I mean really strong. Do you know you can do What you want to do is you try to do what you can do. Hey, black child, be what you can be. Learn what you must learn. Do what you can do. And tomorrow, your nation will be what you want it to be.
I am Brandon Sai. This is the Twinkle Star, Iowa.
Pelé, real name Edson Arantes do Nascimento, is widely regarded as one of the greatest ever exponents of the sport he helped become known as the beautiful game. He holds the prestigious record of being a FIFA World Cup winner on no less than 3 occasions, scoring 12 goals in 14 games at the finals. Born in the poor district of Três Corações, Minas Gerais, Brazil, on the 23rd of October in 1940, he remains the most famous footballer in history, and it is his achievements in the FIFA World Cup that have chiefly garnered that accolade. His entrance onto the world stage occurred during the 1958 finals in Sweden. At the tender age of just 17, he was the star of the tournament, scoring 6 goals, including 3 in the semi-final and 2 in the final. The teenager emerged from nowhere to light up the tournament with his dazzling skills. In the quarter-finals, Pelé scored a fine solo goal to give Brazil a 1-0 victory against Wales. The semi-final against France was billed as a contest between the young prodigy, Pelé, and France's free-scoring Just Fontaine. The script was written for Pelé, and he grabbed the headlines with an opportunistic second-half hat-trick. Pelé's goals in a comprehensive 5-2 win guided Brazil to the final, where they faced the hosts Sweden. Stockholm was the venue, and the stage was set for Pelé to prove his status as the young prodigy. In the second half, and with Brazil winning 2-1, Pelé scored a wonder goal. He produced a magical piece of skill before providing the finishing touch. Without doubt, a defining moment in FIFA World Cup history. In the final minute of the match, Pelé scored his second goal with a looping header. Brazil won 5-2, and with it came their first FIFA World Cup triumph. Held aloft on the shoulders of his teammates, Pelé was paraded as a hero. He handled the pressure of representing his country with the maturity of a veteran, and he would go on from this success. At the 1962 finals in Chile, an injured hamstring in Brazil's second match prevented Pelé playing an integral part in his country's campaign. Despite his obvious disappointment at not making the final in Santiago, Pelé cheered on his beloved Brazil from the stands. They didn't let him down, and despite going a goal behind, they went on to beat Czechoslovakia 3-1. Pelé was rewarded for his early contributions in the tournament with his second successive FIFA World Cup winners' medal. At the 1966 tournament in England, Pelé was the victim of some severe and unsavoury tackling from opposing players. He was heavily fouled in Brazil's third group match against Portugal and was eventually forced to leave the pitch. With Pelé battered and bruised, Portugal won the match 3-1 and Brazil went out of the tournament. In successive finals, the world was once again robbed of the great man's talents. Following his treatment in 1966, Pelé vowed never to play in the FIFA World Cup again. Thankfully, he had a change of heart, and at the 1970 finals in Mexico, enjoyed his finest hour. Pelé scored 4 goals and supplied many assists for his teammates. Despite his goals, the strongest memories of Pelé in 1970 were probably his near misses. A shot from the halfway line against Czechoslovakia that just missed the post, and his dummy around the Uruguayan goalkeeper remain 2 of the FIFA World Cup's most seminal moments. Brazil entertained on their way to the final, where they faced European giants Italy. Pelé led from the front, and in the 18th minute scored Brazil's 100th FIFA World Cup goal with a trademark header. Jumping on the shoulders of Jairzinho, Pelé raised his arms in pure delight. The last goal of this deciding game, which was Pelé's last FIFA World Cup match, was memorable. Pelé was involved in 2 of the 9 passes that preceded Carlos Alberto's goal. In fact, it was he who nonchalantly played the simple square pass, the same one which had killed off Uruguay and England for Carlos Alberto to score. Brazil had delighted the fans with their free-flowing football en route to a 4-1 victory. Brazil won the right to keep the Jules Rimet trophy after winning it for the 3rd time, and Pelé's FIFA World Cup career ended on a high. In the cauldron of the biggest football show on earth, the FIFA World Cup, the great are separated from the good. On the 11th of December 2000, Pelé was named Player of the Century by FIFA's grand jury for his contribution to the game, and he remains a living legend.
We can do it. We shall do it.
No one like Caleb Anderson. He's 12.
I'm not really smart, I just grasp information quickly. So if I learn quicker, then I can get ahead faster.
This elite engineering school fell over itself recruiting him.
Plug it in here.
Caleb saw the labs. He met the school's president.
I have heard so much about you. Welcome to Georgia Tech.
He's a perfect candidate to come into our program and be very successful.
Is his admission guaranteed?
I would expect that he would be admitted for sure.
Admitted to study aerospace engineering. Claire and Kobe Anderson, Caleb's parents.
What's it like to be touring a college when your kid is 12?
I don't think anything that Caleb's done has been normal for us.
By age 1, he was reading.
Look at this. Fun.
At 2, he knew sign language and how to do fractions.
1, 2, 3.
I have this distinct memory of going to the 1st grade class and learning there. Everyone was way taller than me because, you know, I was 2. I could barely walk.
Middle school was awful. It always is.
The kids there, they kind of looked down on me, or they treated me like I was an anomaly, and, which I kind of am.
He's taken college courses for a year. His parents now want a university that's the right fit for a tween genius.
We want him to be in an environment where he's accepted and not tolerated.
If he comes to Georgia Tech, he's not rushing a fraternity.
No.
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 Not at all. We're definitely protecting him.
Make sure that when he is an adult, that he'll make a great husband or great father, a great friend one day.
Lots of people think they're the smartest person in the room. Caleb really is.
Does it ever occur to you, you know what, I'm looking at college and I'm 12 years old.
This is my life. This is how I am. And I've been living this way my whole life.
He accepts that he's different, definitely smart.
What is it?
For CBS...
We can do it. We shall do it.
Ya Ashantewa, warrior queen, lived from about 1840 to October 17th, 1921. Once upon a time, in a land rich with gold, lived a strong queen who ruled over the Ashanti kingdom. Her name was Ya. Her people believed in the magical powers of a golden stool, which was so sacred that even the king and queen were not allowed to touch it. It was said that the heart and soul of the Ashanti people, past, present, and future, were contained in this golden throne. One day, a governor-general appointed by the British announced that the British Empire would be taking over the Ashanti lands. We also demand your golden stool to sit upon. Bring it here immediately. The Ashanti leaders were shocked and insulted, but their enemy was powerful. One by one, they urged surrender. Not Ya Ashantewa, she stood up. If you, the men of Ashanti, will not go forward, then we, the women, will. We will fight the white men. Ya led an army of 5,000 into battle against the well-equipped British soldiers. After a fierce fight, Ya's army was defeated. She herself was captured and deported to the Seychelles Islands. She never saw her beloved land again, but her country continued to be inspired by her bravery. A few years after her death, the Ashanti Empire regained its independence. To this day, Ya Ashantewa's people still sing songs about their beloved queen and her proud fighting spirit.
We can do it. We shall do it.
On the edge of the vast Sahara Desert, citizens snuck out of the city of Timbuktu and took to the wilderness. They buried chests in the desert sand, hid them in caves, and sealed them in secret rooms. Inside these chests was a treasure more valuable than gold, the city's ancient books. Founded around 1100 CE, in what is now Mali, the city of Timbuktu started out as an unremarkable trading post, but its unique location soon changed that. Timbuktu marked the intersection of two essential trade routes, where caravans bringing salt across the Sahara met with traders bringing gold from the African interior. By the late 1300s, these trade routes made Timbuktu rich, and the city's rulers, the kings of the Mali Empire, built monuments and academies that drew scholars from Egypt, Spain, and Morocco. The city's prime location also made it a target for warlords and conquerors. As the Mali Empire declined, one of its domains, Songhai, began to gain power. In 1468, the Songhai king conquered Timbuktu, burning buildings and murdering scholars. But in time, intellectual life in the city flourished again. The reign of the second king of the Songhai Empire, Askia Mohammed Touré, marked the beginning of a golden age in Timbuktu. He reversed his predecessor's regressive policies and encouraged learning. The Songhai rulers and most of Timbuktu's population were Muslim, and the scholars of Timbuktu studied Islam alongside secular topics like mathematics and philosophy. In the libraries of Timbuktu, tracts of Greek philosophy stood alongside the writings of local historians, scientists, and poets. The city's most prominent scholar, Ahmed Baba, challenged prevailing opinions on subjects ranging from smoking to slavery. Gold and salt trade had funded the city's transformation into a center of learning. Now, the products of that intellectual culture became the most sought-after commodity. With paper from faraway Venice and vibrant ink from local plants and minerals, the scribes of Timbuktu produced texts in both Arabic and local languages. Written in calligraphy and decorated with intricate geometric designs, the books of Timbuktu were in demand among the wealthiest members of society. In 1591, the Golden Age came to an abrupt end when the Moroccan king captured Timbuktu. Moroccan forces imprisoned Ahmed Baba and other prominent scholars and confiscated their libraries. In the centuries that followed, the city weathered a succession of conquests. In the mid-1800s, Sufi jihadists occupied Timbuktu and destroyed many non-religious manuscripts. In 1894, French colonial forces seized control of the city, stealing even more manuscripts and sending them to Europe. French became the official language taught in schools, and new generations in Timbuktu couldn't read the Arabic manuscripts that remained. Through it all, the literary tradition of Timbuktu didn't die. It went underground. Some families built secret libraries in their homes or buried the books in their gardens. Others stashed them in abandoned caves or holes in the desert. The priceless manuscripts of Timbuktu dispersed to villages throughout the surrounding area, where regular citizens guarded them for hundreds of years. As desertification and war impoverished the region, families held on to the ancient books, even as they faced desperate poverty and near starvation. Even today, the struggle to protect the books continues. From the 1980s to the early 2000s, Timbuktu scholar Abdelkader Haidara painstakingly retrieved hidden manuscripts from all over northern Mali and brought them back to Timbuktu. But in 2012, civil war in Mali once again threatened the manuscripts, most of which were evacuated to nearby Bamako. Their future remains uncertain as they face both human and environmental threats. These books represent our best and often only sources on the pre-colonial history of the region. Many of them have never been read by modern scholars, and still more remain lost or hidden in the desert. At stake in the efforts to protect them is the history they contain and the efforts of countless generations to protect that history from being lost.
We can do it. We shall do it.
As early as 1800 BC, the Maya had begun settling and established villages in what is today Mexico and Central America. Maya civilization peaked from 250 to 900 AD, during what archaeologists call the Classic Period. More than 40 cities flourished throughout the region, with populations as large as 50,000. The Maya built magnificent urban centers consisting of stone structures, including pyramid temples that were central to Maya religious practices. In addition to these impressive city structures, agriculture played a key role in Maya civilization. Corn was one of the predominant crops. The Maya creation story tells of nature gods, the basis of Maya religion, who created humans out of yellow and white corn. The Maya also made significant advancements in mathematics and astronomy. They invented the concept of zero, and they developed an accurate calendar system. Used to guide the Maya agricultural cycles, the calendar was based on observations of the sun and sky over thousands of years. The Maya also developed the only known system of writing in Mesoamerica, hieroglyphs. In fact, much of what we know about ancient Maya civilization comes from deciphering hieroglyphic characters inscribed in pottery, stone slabs, and other ruins discovered at ancient sites. Hieroglyphs have revealed that, despite the Maya's ingenuity and agrarian lifestyle, conflict was prevalent among some Maya city-states as they battled for control of the region. Throughout much of the Classic Period, the city-state of Tikal, located in modern-day Guatemala, reigned as the closest thing to an empire in Maya history. But for a period of roughly 130 years, the Tikal people were overtaken through force and diplomacy by the Kanul, a rival kingdom. Toward the end of the Classic Period, around 900 AD, most Maya cities had collapsed. Among the theories are warfare, a volcanic eruption, and, perhaps most likely, drought. However, archaeologists still debate why, as new evidence continues to emerge. Despite the decline of ancient Maya civilization, the Maya people have by no means disappeared. More than 7 million Maya are estimated to be alive today in their indigenous homelands and around the world. While they participate in modern global life, they continue to follow agricultural and ceremonial practices of their ancestors.
We can do it. We shall do it.
Dr. Daniel Hale Williams performed the first ever heart surgery in 1893 without the assistance of X-rays, antibiotics, or modern anesthesia. Dr. Dan, as he was known, was born in Pennsylvania and received his medical degree from Chicago Medical School. In 1891, he founded Provident Hospital, the first interracial hospital in Chicago on the city's south side. The hospital established the first black nursing school. One fateful day, 2 years later, a young black man named James Cornish was brought to Provident Hospital with a serious wound on his chest. With his patient bleeding heavily, Williams saw only one option. He performed surgery on James' chest, fixing the severed artery, and then closed the wound. James was discharged 51 days later, fully recovered. He lived another 20 years, proving the success of Dr. Dan's operation. George Washington Carver was a botanist, agricultural chemist, and inventor. His innovation and determination helped to restore the struggling agricultural economy of the South during the early 20th century. Fascinated with nature from an early age, he grew a secret flower garden in the woods near his foster home. He earned the nickname the Plant Doctor by the time he was 10 years old because of his skill in caring for sick plants. At 27, Carver entered Iowa State College of Agriculture and graduated as one of their outstanding scholars. He was appointed their greenhouse director and an assistant instructor in botany. He earned his master's degree in 1896, and out of his long-held desire to help poor Black Southerners, he accepted Booker T. Washington's offer to be the director of agriculture at Tuskegee Institute. Southern cotton farmers were bringing in smaller harvests and thus less money. Carver examined the soil and found the cotton plants had taken important nutrients from the soil. He discovered that peanuts, sweet potatoes, soybeans, and cowpeas return nitrogen to the soil, so he urged farmers to plant these in rotation with cotton. The crops helped feed the farmers' families and allowed them to grow more cotton than before. When the farmers struggled to find customers for their peanut and sweet potato crops, Carver made more than 300 products from peanuts, such as ink, shampoo, soap, and candy, and molasses, glue, and flour from sweet potatoes. Carver donated his life savings to Tuskegee to establish the George Washington Carver Foundation, which helped provide research opportunities for students. A museum was also founded in his honor. President Franklin D. Roosevelt ordered the dedication of the George Washington Carver National Monument, located near the scientist's childhood home in Missouri. It was the first national monument dedicated to an African American. George Washington Carver believed, "It is simply service that measures success." Madam C.J. Walker was the first African American millionaire businesswoman in the United States. Born Sarah Breedlove in Louisiana, she was orphaned at age 6. At age 20, she became a widow with a 2-year-old daughter to support. She worked as a washerwoman in St. Louis, Missouri, a job which required difficult manual labor with little pay. Still, she attended night school and saved what money she could to invest in her experiments. Sarah suffered from alopecia, a condition which left her hair dry and brittle. Sometimes patches fell out. Dissatisfied with the hair treatments available at the time, she mixed different combinations of oils in her bathtub until she discovered a satisfactory formula. The treatment worked for her, and she then began testing her wonderful hair grower on other people. It was a hit, and after moving to Denver, Colorado, she perfected her treatment and created other products, including a straightening comb, which she patented in 1905. Sarah sold products door to door and used her own before and after photos as proof of her product's effectiveness. Sarah married Charles Joseph Walker in 1906 and began calling herself Madam C.J. Walker. Her Walker method took off, allowing her to establish an office and manufacturing headquarters after only 1 year. With the help of her daughter and nieces, Walker recruited more saleswomen to help sell her products. In 1908, Walker opened a second office in Philadelphia, as well as a beauty parlor and school in Pittsburgh. Her hair courses eventually became available in New York, Indianapolis, and at Black colleges throughout the South. In 1917, Walker built a 30-room mansion in New York and began to sponsor Black artists and writers, even establishing the Madam Walker Theater Center in Indianapolis. By that time, her manufacturing company took up an entire city block and employed over 3,000 people. Madam C.J. Walker also donated generously to scholarship funds at Tuskegee and Palmer Memorial Institutes and organizations such as the YMCA and the NAACP. Garrett A. Morgan was an African-American inventor born in 1875 in Kentucky. One night, A Cleveland Waterworks construction crew became trapped underground in a cloud of toxic fumes when their tunnel beneath Lake Erie exploded. First responders made 2 unsuccessful attempts to rescue the workers. With time running out, the authorities summoned Garrett and his brother Frank. They arrived with a gas mask Morgan had patented 2 years before. Earlier breathing devices were unreliable, so Morgan invented something better. Firefighters, engineers, chemists, and other workers who regularly encountered dangerous gases were already using his breathing device in other cities. He later upgraded his mask with its own air supply, and it became of great importance during World War I and later wars. At the Cleveland disaster site, the Morgan brothers and 2 volunteers strapped on the gas mask and made several brave trips through the darkness of the 200-foot-long toxic tunnel. They rescued more than 20 people. Morgan was awarded a medal from the International Association of Fire Engineers. The gas mask was not his first or last invention. Morgan worked as a handyman at a sewing machine shop in Ohio, and at age 26, sold his belt fastener for sewing machines. 8 years later, he opened a tailoring shop which manufactured dresses and suits. After only 1 year, Morgan and his wife purchased a home where they eventually raised 3 sons. After accidentally discovering a hair straightening substance in 1913, Morgan established the G.A. Morgan Hair Refining Company. The profit supported his continued research. In 1923, Morgan patented an automatic traffic signal which led to the overhead and sidewalk traffic lights that keep us safe to this day. I always knew I'd go to space. Mae Jemison, the first African-American woman astronaut, once said. Jemison, born in 1956, is also a physician, teacher, and the founder and president of 2 technology companies, the Jemison Group, and an advanced medical device company, Biosentient Corporation. Born in Alabama and raised in Chicago, Jemison was fascinated with science from an early age. Her father and mother were very encouraging. She said, "My parents were the best scientists I knew because they were always asking questions." Jemison entered Stanford University on scholarship when she was only 16 years old. She graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering and a Bachelor of Arts in African and African American Studies. In 1981, she received her doctorate from Cornell University Medical College. Jemison practiced medicine in Los Angeles, California, before serving in the Peace Corps as a medical officer in Sierra Leone and Liberia for 2 years. In addition to speaking English, Jemison speaks Swahili, Russian, and Japanese. Inspired by the life of Sally Ride, the first woman in space, Jemison applied to NASA, and in 1987, she became one of only 15 people chosen out of 2,000 candidates for their astronaut corps. Jemison's first and only spaceflight began on September 12, 1992, when the Space Shuttle Endeavour took off for its second mission. Jemison served as the science mission specialist on the 8-day mission, which was a joint effort between the United States and Japan. Jemison resigned from NASA in March of 1993 to form the Jemison Group Incorporated, which highlights ways to bring science and technology to everyday life. The following year, she founded the Dorothy Jemison Foundation for Excellence, named in honor of her mother, which includes an international space camp for high school students called The Earth We Share. In 2011, the U.S. military chose this foundation to receive $500,000 in funding to help launch the 100-year Starship project. Our task, our mission, Jemison explained, is to make sure all the capabilities needed to mount a human interstellar mission exist. Jemison envisions public participation from everyone, regardless of who they are or where they come from. Someday, perhaps, more people will be able to confidently declare, "I always knew I'd go to space."
We can do it. We shall do it.
Once upon a time, there's a man named Martin Luther King Jr. It's funny to think about because now we know his name so well, but at one time he was just a kid. Like maybe you're a kid watching this. Well, he was a kid too. Well, maybe you're a grown-up. That's okay too. Former kids are welcome here. I don't discriminate. Martin Luther King grew up to be a great man, of course. But things weren't all that great in the world while he was growing up. Not everybody was treated like they were somebody. And I believe that you should treat everybody like it's their birthday. But they didn't do that. People looked at the color of their skin. And that's how they decided if they were friends or not. Not cool, man. That didn't make him feel good. That didn't make anybody feel good. But his parents helped him grow up. He went to church. He learned about love. He grew up to be a minister to help a lot of people. He did all sorts of cool stuff. He helped a lot of people learn about love too. But still, he looked around and said, things should be better. He wanted to change things, so he did stuff. He decided, instead of spreading the hate, he would spread the love. He wanted to bring people together. Where people were hurting, he stepped in to help. He marched with them, he walked with them. He walked arm in arm with everyone. Sometimes it didn't go well, but he kept going. Sometimes he ended up in prison, but he kept going. Some people didn't like him, but he kept going. Some days were hard, but he kept going. Love does that, it just keeps going, even when things are dark. And, well, I don't like this part of the story, but things did get pretty dark. Someone who didn't agree with him shot him. He died in April 1968. Now keep pressing it. Why are you telling us this sad story? Come on. I know. I'm sorry, but it happened. I don't like that happened. Now I gotta tell you something. When things aren't awesome, it can be tough. And things won't always be awesome, but your response can be. Martin Luther King's response? It was awesome. Today I just wanted us to think about this. Isn't it cool that we can change things? Like any of us, anybody. He dreamed and he changed things. And he dreamed and he kept sharing his dreams. They became not just his dream, a lot of people's dream. Like this one. I have a dream that little black boys and black girls will join hands with white boys and white girls and become sisters and brothers. That's a pretty good dream. Let's dream like that. That could change things.
We can do it. We shall do it.
It starts with a tickle in your throat that becomes a cough. Your muscles begin to ache. You grow irritable, and you lose your appetite. It's official. You've got the flu. It's logical to assume that this miserable medley of symptoms is the result of the infection coursing through your body. But is that really the case? What's actually making you feel sick? What if your body itself was driving this vicious onslaught? You first get ill when a pathogen like the flu virus gets into your system, infecting and killing your cells. But this unwelcome intrusion has another effect. It alerts your body's immune system to your plight. As soon as it becomes aware of infection, your body leaps to your defense. Cells called macrophages charge in as the first line of attack, searching for and destroying the viruses and infected cells. Afterwards, the macrophages release protein molecules called cytokines, whose job is to recruit and organize more virus-busting cells from your immune system. If this coordinated effort is strong enough, it'll wipe out the infection before you even notice it. But that's just your body setting the scene for some real action. In some cases, viruses spread further, even into the blood and vital organs. To avoid this sometimes dangerous fate, your immune system must launch a stronger attack, coordinating its activity with the brain. That's where those unpleasant symptoms come in, starting with a surging temperature, aches and pains, and sleepiness. So why do we experience this? When the immune system is under serious attack, it secretes more cytokines, which trigger two responses. First, the vagus nerve, which runs through the body into the brain, quickly transmits the information to the brainstem, passing near an important area of pain processing. Second, cytokines travel through the body to the hypothalamus, the part of the brain responsible for controlling temperature, thirst, hunger, and sleep, among other things. When it receives this message, the hypothalamus produces another molecule called prostaglandin E2, which gears it up for war. The hypothalamus sends signals that instruct your muscles to contract and causes a rise in body temperature. It also makes you sleepy, and you lose your appetite and thirst. But what's the point of all of these unpleasant symptoms? Well, we're not yet sure, but some theorize that they aid in recovery. The rise in temperature can slow bacteria and help your immune system destroy pathogens. Sleep lets your body channel more energy towards fighting infection. When you stop eating, your liver can take up much of the iron in your blood, And since iron is a for bacterial survival, that effectively starves them. Your reduced thirst makes you mildly dehydrated, diminishing transmission through sneezes, coughs, vomit, or diarrhea. Though it's worth noting that if you don't drink enough water, that dehydration can become dangerous. Even the body's aches make you more sensitive, drawing attention to infected cuts that might be worsening or even causing your condition. In addition to physical symptoms, sickness can also make you irritable, sad, and confused. That's because cytokines and prostaglandin can reach even higher structures in your brain, disrupting the activity of neurotransmitters like glutamate, endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine. This affects areas like the limbic system, which oversees emotions, and your cerebral cortex, which is involved in reasoning. So it's actually the body's own immune response that causes much of the discomfort you feel every time you get ill. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work perfectly. Most notably, millions of people worldwide suffer from autoimmune diseases in which the immune system treats normal bodily cues as threats, so the body attacks itself. But for the majority of the human race, millions of years of evolution have fine-tuned the immune system so that it works for rather than against us. The symptoms of our illnesses are annoying, but collectively, they signify an ancient process that will continue barricading our bodies against the outside world for centuries to come.
This is now the Children's Hour on SLR, IYATA style.
Everyone knows that movement is good for your body. Your muscles grow bigger, your lungs breathe deeper, and your heart pumps easier. But what about your brain? Scientists have been studying the effects on movement of the mind for decades to answer this question, and have found that physical activity is just as beneficial for your brain as it is for your body. Regular physical activity helps you learn faster and think clearer. It helps maintain good mental health while reducing risk of mental illness. It enhances, improves, and protects your mind. Now, at first that may sound surprising. Instinctively, we assume brains are best when left at rest. But researchers have proven that this instinct is wrong and uncovered reasons why minds need movement. One key discovery has been that physical activity releases a protein in our brains called BDNF. BDNF has been called Miracle-Gro for the brain because it acts like a fertilizer, helping our brain grow, create new cells, and forge new connections. By increasing levels of BDNF, movement allows our brains to blossom. More and more benefits are discovered each day, like improved memory, enhanced focus, faster learning, heightened creativity, better problem-solving ability, and reduced risk of anxiety, depression, dementia, and cognitive decline. Movement isn't just great for our physical health, it's a necessity for our mental health. And just like our bodies need physical activity to grow stronger, our minds need it too.
SLR, we have the power. This is now the Children's Hour on SLR.
Electromagnetism, or the electromagnetic force, is one of the four fundamental forces of nature. It generates light and energy and holds atoms, matter, and the world as we know it together. Electromagnetism is a branch of physics that studies the interactions between electric and magnetic fields. All matter has an electric charge, which can be positive, negative, or zero. Opposite charges attract, while like charges repel. These electric forces signals and cook food, and infrared waves emitted by fires. On the other are short, high-frequency wavelengths, ultraviolet, X, and gamma radiation. Unlike low-frequency waves, these waves can pass through the human body, making them useful for medical applications. While electromagnetism has daily applications, it's also the engine that drives the planet as a whole.
Thousands of miles below the Earth's surface, a layer of liquid metals churn and flow. This generates electric currents that then produce magnetic fields that all together encompass the entire planet. Called a geodynamo, this process causes Earth's poles to attain positive and negative charges, turning the planet into a giant electromagnet. This phenomenon also creates a protective layer around the planet. It shields us from the most harmful radiation in space, leaving us to enjoy a world held together by the strange and fundamental force of electromagnetism.
SLR, we have the power. This is now the children's hour on SLR.
Twinkle Stars, give thanks for listening. Do join I and I again in the Twinkle Star Iowa Next Strong for more knowledge. And remember to treat each other with love and respect on life's journey. So when the I and the I get older, no one can say that I didn't treat them well when the I were younger. So the I can be unified in strength and love. Do join Mandingo after the break. He's here with music, news and views till the hours of 7. Then in comes Buzzing Bee with tropical discussions and worldwide issues. The pastor's in at 9, followed by Bobby Culture on the SLR lawn with music till the early hours of the morning. Be of strong courage always and fear nothing. Stand strong and learn all that I can. So until next strong, Rastafari and Integwe Menin and Earth Mother guide and protect every step and every move that I make. Until such time, Twinkle Stars, one love. I